Work at height is any activity that involves people working in a position from which they could fall and injure themselves. Over 3 million people in the UK work at height as part of their job. The risk is obvious with some types of work, but for many people, working at height is something they only do occasionally or incidentally to their main work activity, and they and their managers often don't recognise they're at risk. The problem is very serious. Falling from height is the main cause of workplace fatalities. In 2004-2005, 53 people died and 3,800 were seriously injured. 60% of these injuries were due to falls from below head height. This is a clear indicator that people are less aware of the risks of working even a small distance off the ground. We can identify and control the risks by taking the following steps. Plan properly. Don't underestimate the risks. Simply taking care is not enough. Avoid work at height where possible by using different equipment or work methods. Select the most appropriate equipment for the task. Making do to save money can result in injury and possibly prosecution. Train those doing the work to use the equipment properly. Inspect and maintain all equipment regularly, and supervise the work effectively. All work at height must be properly planned before the work is started and appropriately supervised while the work is being carried out. The first question is, can work at height be avoided? If the answer is yes, then it must be avoided. If the answer is no, then measures must be taken to prevent the risk of a fall. Selecting the correct work method and equipment is a key factor in controlling risks, and we'll look at selection in more detail later. It's important to plan the actions to be taken in the event of an emergency. For example, how will someone be rescued if they have an accident or fall ill while working at height? Weather conditions must also be taken into account. Work at height should not be carried out when the weather conditions might endanger health and safety. For example, roof surfaces can become slippery in wet or icy conditions, and powered access equipment should not be used in high winds. You should avoid working at height whenever possible. There are two main strategies: the use of designed-in features or the use of alternative work methods and equipment. This plant room was designed to allow equipment to be installed at low level, removing the need to work at height during routine maintenance or repairs. Smoke detectors have been designed which can be tested from ground level using an extending pole. The system can also be used to remove or replace detectors, even from very high and awkward positions, while the worker remains standing on the ground. This lighting system has a remotely operated winch mechanism that allows the lamp unit to be brought down to ground level for bulb replacement. A system like this may be incorporated into the design of a building, or it can be fitted at a later stage. Windows can be designed to be reversible, so that they can be cleaned from the inside, or fitted with self-cleaning glass. Alternative working methods for cleaning glass that avoid work at height include using long brushes and the use of water-fed pole systems. These systems can access vertical and horizontal surfaces and can be self-contained in a backpack worn by the operative if required. The same technique can be used for cleaning gutters, or with the addition of a camera and monitor for inspecting roofs and other high-level surfaces that may be in need of repair. The camera can also be used to assist in carrying out the work. The work methods and equipment we have used as examples are only a part of the wide range available. Selecting the most suitable equipment for the job is a major decision, and you'll need to consider a number of factors, including the working conditions, the distance and consequences of a potential fall, duration and frequency of the task, ease of rescue and evacuation in an emergency, and the risks from installing, using and removing the equipment. The equipment you select should always be used in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. The working conditions should be reviewed, taking into account the requirements of the type of access equipment you plan to use. The significant factors are: what are the site conditions like? For example, is the ground firm and level? Is the access to the work area restricted by other buildings? In this example, scaffolding is a good choice, as it would be difficult to use an elevating platform due to the narrow gaps between the houses. Will the working platform allow access to all the areas required, and is there safe access for workers to get onto and off the platform? Can the platform safely handle the potential loading of people, equipment and materials? If access to the site is via a lift, can the lift transport the equipment safely? Will the work have any effect on the public? If so, public access to the area may need to be controlled. Can the equipment be easily transported and assembled? Does the site require the equipment to fit through doorways? Does it need to be used internally on typical floor surfaces? Is there enough space for any outriggers? If the access equipment is powered, does it require any power supplies? For example, this platform is battery powered, which means it can be used in a wider range of locations. This equipment is manually powered. The platform carries a supply of the column extensions, which can be fitted by the operative as required until the correct working height is reached. There is no distinction made between low and high falls, so for all work at height, measures must be taken to prevent the risk of any fall that could cause injury. Remember, 60% of all injuries are a result of falls from below head height. It's essential to adopt a sensible and pragmatic approach. The preventive measures that you select should be comparable with the levels of risk. For many routine low-level maintenance tasks, there are a number of simple access solutions. Equipment used in these situations should be easy to transport. If the equipment needs to be taken upstairs, then it should be light enough to be carried comfortably. Equipment with wheels should be easy to maneuver and easy to operate. How long the job will take and how often it will be carried out are important selection issues. For example, a simple podium or stepladder may be the most suitable equipment to use if the work is low risk, short duration and not needed very often. You must be aware that working from a ladder or stepladder can still be dangerous even if preventive measures have been taken and the job is small. Many accidents have happened during tasks lasting less than 30 minutes. It's crucial that ladders and stepladders are only used when you're certain there is no safer means of access. You must have procedures in place for rescuing an injured person and handling an emergency situation. For example, if anyone working at height required medical assistance, you should have a plan for how someone could reach them to give treatment before they're moved. It's essential that you look at the whole process, including the installation and removal of the access equipment when assessing the risks, and select the option which gives the lowest overall risk. For example, during short-duration minor roof work, It may be that a properly secured access ladder and roof ladder provide an overall safer method of work than a fully boarded scaffold, when the risks of installing and removing the scaffold are taken into account. Make sure that whoever assembles and uses the equipment is trained and competent to do so. Mobile elevating work platforms can provide excellent safe access to high-level work and can be easily moved from one location to another. Powered access equipment requires the operator to hold a certificate or license to prove that they are trained and competent. Tower scaffolds are widely used and can provide an effective and safe means of access. However, poorly erected and misused tower scaffolds are the cause of numerous accidents each year. Towers should be erected by trained and competent people who are following a safe method of work. The Prefabricated Access Suppliers and Manufacturers Association recommends 2 approved methods, which have been developed in cooperation with the Health and Safety Executive. The Advanced Guardrail System makes use of specially designed temporary guardrail units, which are slid up from the level below before being locked in place. These temporary guardrail units provide collective fall prevention, while the operator accesses the platform to fit the permanent guardrails. The Through the Trap, or 3T method, relies on the person erecting the tower taking up a working position in the trapdoor of the platform. This is a minimum risk position, from where they can add or remove the components which act as the guardrails on the level above. The 3T method makes use of standard tower components. Ladders and step ladders are the most commonly used pieces of access equipment for a wide range of building maintenance tasks, and perhaps the most misused. So it's essential that those who use ladders and step ladders are trained and competent to do so. Working from a ladder should be your last option. They should only be considered for light work of short duration and where the use of other more suitable work equipment is not appropriate. If ladders are used, they should be of the correct type, Class 1 Industrial or EN 131, in good condition, regularly inspected and maintained, placed on firm level ground, properly secured, and set at the correct length and angle for the job. Before using any access equipment, it is important to ensure it is safe. Some access equipment must be inspected at regular specified intervals by a competent person, while other equipment is subject to inspection depending on its frequency of use. It's good practice to always carry out a check of any work equipment before it's used. If you find any defects, you should have them rectified or have the equipment replaced. The people using the equipment need to be supervised so that they use it properly. For the more specialized equipment, a greater degree of supervision will be required to ensure safety. Working at height does not have to involve unacceptably high risks. Proper management of the issues we've looked at will create a safer working environment for everyone and help you to comply with your legal duties. You should take the time to plan the work, select the right equipment, and use it properly. Remember, take a moment, not a fall.